Well, good evening, folks, and welcome into the David Paisano Show. We are going to have a lot of fun tonight as we go visit with our friends across the country and around the world. As I promised, I was going to put together a solve for the John Collins Black treasure hunt. That's right, I was going to put together a solve for the John Collins Black treasure hunt. So, first of all, we have to get everything in order here. I've got my mask on for the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I've got my beads. I've got my beads. The most important part is I got my Mardi Gras mask on and I've got my beads. So, here we go with the solve proposition for the treasure hunt for the Pokemon box. All right, folks, I'm going to share the screen here so you can follow along. I've put together a little document here that I hope will assist us in finding this treasure. And so I'm going to share this. Sorry, I did not take the opportunity to shave. I know I'm looking a little bit rough tonight. Apologize for the rough look, but here we go. This is accumulation of my trip that I just made to Texas to look for the Pokemon box I just got back a little while ago. I don't know if I go to a one-page view, if this will look smaller or not. But let's just see if I can increase the size of this and maybe go to one page. So we need to look at the view. And let's do one page. And then let's do percent. Let's do zoom in. Let's do, let's say, okay, let's do that. Let's do one page. All right, maybe let's see how this looks on the screen. Does this look good? Not really. I wonder how I can get that. Wonder if I can get that in that. Wonder if I can get that to fill the whole screen. Huh. Well, I thought I was ready to go on this, but having a few technical difficulties. How do I make this? How do I make this look bigger? Oh, that's not it. Full screen reading? Oh, that's not it. Huh. Well, all right. You've got me confused. Let's just go back to the 2 pages and let's get rid of that. We're just going to do it this way, folks. All right, so first of all, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about a Charizard. And what this is basically the Pokemon that can create heat out of its breath. And so we have the Pokemon on the very first page of this chapter. And this is the card that's in the box. So one of the features is that it's able to put heat out. So the first thing he mentions is the Samsonite luggage. Well, I've got my Samsonite luggage. That's right. I've got the Samsonite right here. I took the Samsonite case with me. You notice when you open up a nice Samsonite case, it's like a big old hatch. You can put a lot of stuff in there. Opens up. got this little flip up thing in it, and you put all your goodies in the Samsonite case. It's a nice hard case, not going to damage anything. If I had the locks, I can lock that up. So one of the features of the Samsonite case is that you have a lock on it. So the company was founded in Denver by the Blackhawk, Colorado-born luggage salesman Jesse Schwader. It was the Schwader Trunk Manufacturing Company. He was a religious man, and he named it after the Samson, which is a biblical strong man, right? Began using the trademark Samsonite in 1941. And the other products that Samsonite made included furniture, folding chairs, and card tables. And those were all made in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, as a matter of fact. Well, we had that other chapter that talked about some folding chairs. And so anyway, but one of the little known facts about Samson is that it had an agreement with the Lego company. So Lego, which is a Danish company, had a relationship with Samsonite. And they made 217 sets of different Lego combinations. And they did this between 61 and 79. And most sets were released in 1966. The jumbo bricks from Lego. Well, I mentioned this because if you look at the actual book itself and you go and look at the box that you're looking for, it looks to me like those are Samsonite bricks. And so on the next page here, I've got a picture of the Samsonite bricks. And you might see this blue brick here, this blue Samsonite brick that they made for Lego. And as you can see, it's got that dimpled appearance that the actual treasure box has. It mentions a hatchback, and a hatchback's a type of car with a rear door that opens upward to access the cargo area. I kind of showed you how that had a hatch in it in the Samsonite box as well, and it kind of lifted up to show you the cargo. I included the Jayco Thief hatch here because it came up. I don't think it has any relative. But anyway, so they had a Jayco RV. And you notice the Jaybird there? A Jaybird. I'm a Jaybird! I'm a Jaybird! Well, if I could escape, I'd be a Jaybird. But anyway, there's what a pop-up camper looks like. The next thing they mentioned is this brimming to the rim, which means something is completely full, filled right up to the very top, like a container filled to its maximum capacity, essentially saying that it's filled to the brim. So here you're going to be talking about your normal cup could be filled to the brim, but it just means that you have an indentation, a hollow area that's going to have something in it that's going to be filled all the way up. The other thing is I like the 10-gallon hat because I'm in Texas. I am looking for a treasure in Texas. So why not get the largest brimmed hat you can find, which would be a 10-gallon hat and its association with cowboys and all that. So you have a tall building or a structure like the Eiffel Tower, which is in Paris. And the hotel in New Orleans was similar to a very tall structure like the Eiffel Tower, the 6-story hotel, or maybe like the Empire State Building. And as he looked over his balcony, now you notice how this balcony, most balconies are just a bar-shaped platform that looks out over a window, a bar-shaped platform looking out over a window area. And they went to the French Quarter. Well, I looked up the French Quarter, and they stopped making these in like 1852. But again, there's a French connection here somehow to the story. And if you go to the French Quarter, again, it's a bunch of balconies. If you've ever been in the French Quarter, the streets are all lined with these balconies that have these metal bars in front of them. Well, he mentioned that there was some sort of a handkerchief or what was it? A scarf. Oh my God, a scarf. So I put a picture of a scarf. Maybe I went over the top by having a guy in a hat with a scarf on, but I don't know. But he mentioned that his mother was able to finish scarfing down the toast and sausage. And I have to tell you that the meal service here is terrible. All they give you is like toast and water. So scarfing down your toast and your water because the service is crap. And again, it's crap. Its service is crap because of the bars that are around me. So anyway, he went into the hotel with these doors that locked automatically. And he was so impressed with that in many of the prison facilities, the bars open and close by themselves. You don't even have to touch them. In fact, the whole cell block might open up at one time, like the Alcatraz prison. And again, all this time, he had to press his head against the windows. Well, why would you have to press your head against the window? Because you ain't fucking getting out. Oh, you got that little light, that little daylight, and you wish you could be outside, but you can't. Well, anyway, ended up going into a bar, and there was a baritone sax playing, and there was a group. There was a trio, if you will. There was a trio playing at the bar in New Orleans. So, anyway, later he found that there was a bench somewhere sitting on a porch, and that he could walk right on into this place, going through the entrance where there was a wooden chair. So anyway, the book is about telling you about Sam, and then we're on to Houston. Samsonite luggage going to Houston. Why don't we look at Houston and see what Houston is? Well, look at this railing in front of Sam Houston's birthplace. They put a big rock here, and then they put a plaque on it. But anyway, good old Sam was born in Rockbridge County, Virginia. It's a rocky place. Houston and his family relocated. Oh, by the way, tonight we are drinking Keystone Light. Keystone Light, because there's going to be light shining, and I think there's going to be a keystone at some point. But anyway, we'll get to that later. I'm just giving you information right now. The Keystone is the appropriate beer sponsor for tonight. I had to pay the guards off handsomely to get several of these Keystones into the facility. It was a pain in the ass, honestly. In the shower, by the way. But anyway, he was born in Rockbridge County, Virginia. They relocated to Maryville, Tennessee when he was a teenager. Houston ran away from home, spending about 3 years living with the Cherokee, becoming known as Raven. So that's just proof that the Cherokee Indians, maybe in another song for the Appalachian Trail, where we're talking about. Anyway, never mind. Houston was elected as the governor of Tennessee. Houston then ran against a guy by the name of Runnels in the gubernatorial election, and he won. That was in Texas. So Sam Houston was not only governor of Tennessee, but also governor of Texas. Can you name one other person who is the governor of two states? So he settled in Huntsville, Texas, where he lived in a structure known as the Steamboat House. So after serving as the governor, the Steamboat House is located at the Sam Houston State University. By the way, this is the home of the bear cats, I think, which is like two animals, and one of the Pokemon has the ability to transform from one thing to another. A bear cat. Anyway, so this was in Walker County, by the way. Too far to walk. But anyway, the important thing about the Steamboat House is that it was a wedding gift to the original owners, and they refused to live in the house. Uh, and the last thing is that Houston was a high-ranking Mason. Well, while we're going to get into a story about a bunch of flies in a jar, I thought it was important we tell you what a mason jar is. The mason jar is named after John Landis Mason, who's an American tinsmith. Oh my God, there's a whole story in here about tinsmithing, right? Why would John Collins Black give you a story about tinsmithing and a jar? Well, that's because this guy by the name of John Landis Mason is the guy that basically invented the mason jar. Have you ever really noticed that there's a little round thing? There's a little round thing in all of these puzzle boxes, and it looks like the lid to a mason jar. It's a little pressed, stamped steel disc. It's a stamped steel disc. Oh, hold on. That's what all of them are. They're a round stamped steel disc. And every one of the treasure boxes has one of them that lets you get in. But anyway, back when I was a kid, and just like John Collins, when I went out and found grasshoppers, when I found bugs, when I found lightning bugs, I would go home and I would ask my mom for a mason jar, and we'd poke a few holes in the top of the jar, and then we'd screw the lid on, and we'd have, like, if we had fireflies, we'd have our own personal flashlight. And so it was just so much fun. And those little bugs then were prisoners. They were the little prisoners, kind of like the Pokemon or the prisoners. Because once you find a Pokemon, you try to get them to become a better Pokemon. Oh, let's see. That's what the jurisprudence system is all about, right? Making a human a better human. So a stool pigeon, he went into the bar and sat on a stool. Stool pigeon is an informant. A bartender. I see bartenders all the time. They bring me my food. These bartenders, they do. Oh my, it's so much fun. But he went into this place and he pressed his face against the window because he couldn't actually do anything but press his face against the window. And he used to spend hours turning over rocks. Well, I wonder if that's important. Hopping toads, and then there were these campground bathrooms. Maybe there's a bathroom near this place. So now we get into Portland, Maine. Him and his wife came back, and they're going to Portland. And I don't know if this has to do with the Shawshank Redemption theme or what it does, but they had come back from a wedding. Well, I just told you that this house called the Steamboat House was a place that was a wedding gift in the story of Sam Houston. A club seeker. It says that if a club seeker, well, that's a ninja staff. If you are a Greninja, you are going to have a staff. You're going to have some sort of staff to attack the world with, so you can fight people off and that kind of thing. And so then he mentioned there's arms out, right? There's going to be an arm out, and he mentions this silver foil inlay, and I already talked about this silversmith by the name of Landis. So the Pokemon Go, all of the Pokemon have legs. This is the only treasure box that has legs associated with it. All the other treasure boxes do not have these legs, if you will. And if I was Tony Romo right now, who was a Dallas Cowboys quarterback, he would be saying, legs, 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 use your legs. I'm going to use my legs here in a minute. So if you're a Pokemon, you're in the Pokey. I'm in the Pokey. Right here, I'm in the Pokey. So he mentions when you get into the story about this carp pattern, if you will, and if you actually look at the treasure box itself for this chapter, it has this crosshatch pattern that a carp displays. So if you look at a carp, and one of the magic, you saw some Magikarp in this enhanced reality tour of the Pokemon, And I'm not going to spend very much time on this enhanced reality check because I have enough information in the first part of this chapter to get where I need to go. So you've got this cart pattern, right? And you've got the box lid that looks like this. Well, if you go through all this, you'll eventually, if you're looking for Sam Houston, you can find him. And he's almost as tall as a 6-foot building or 6-story building. He really is almost as tall as a 6-story building. And lo and behold, he has a club, a staff, if you will, and he has an arm extended and he's using his legs. Now, this might be where you want to know a little bit about masonry. So the parts of a brick are the stretcher. This is the long side of a brick. The header. And remember, how many times does he say head? On a swivel, your head, something else. Your head, your head, your head, your head. All right. The bed is the bottom and top surfaces of the rock. And the coin is the corner brick used in custom designs. But a frog in a brick is a depression in the bed surface of a brick, sometimes called a panel. Oh, geez. When he was describing this treasure box, he said it had what? Panels that had to be moved? Like a lot of panels, and all these panels had to be moved, right? And how many times is the frokie? It's a frokie. It's a frokie. So you have a frokie, right? And you have a greninja. Now, bring out your books. I want you to look very, very closely. Very, very closely at the illustrations here. Okay, so again, compare the pattern of the carp with the pattern of the Sam Houston statue chest, and compare that again with the box lid for comparison purposes. So anyway, we went into the masonry already. All right, so here we go. We've got your two primary figures right here. Your two primary figures are right there. Okay. So if you look at the ninja, his staff is laying on the ground in front of him for the most part, and you look at the top of his head, but he's got a monitoring bracelet on one of his legs. So apparently the Greninja was able to get paroled, because if you look at one of the legs of the Greninja, there's definitely that on there for purposes of illustration. And, look at the arm extension. Look the way that one arm's extended. And there you go. We got a frog and we got a ninja. Well, there's a club or staff. All right. So in the story, he says something about smiling and winking, and he knew what that means. Well, there's a smiley sign right at the entryway to the road that leads you to the Sam Houston, and the driveway that goes into that has this Weatherford emblem. Now, take a look at the top of the Greninja again, and look at the top design of that Greninja, and compare it to the Weatherford emblem there. So, all right. Once you get to the statue, I got to take a break for a drink here. Once you get to the statue, you'll learn that the artist who created this nice little tall 67-foot tall statue called A Tribute to Courage in Huntsville, Texas, was created by David Pryor Dickies, I guess. So in 1983, after being a full-time painter and art instructor for more than 2 decades, Dickies was commissioned to make his first monumental sculpture. He created the Virtuoso. Now, the Virtuoso is a 36-foot steel and concrete statue of a string trio. Oh, my God. Let's see. When John Collins Black's original story, he was talking about going into a bar and seeing a trio of musicians, right? He went into a bar and found a trio of musicians. Now, I realize that this is a string trio, but wait, there's more. Uh, in '86, he created cornet uh, as a stage prop for the New Orleans World Fair. And so there's this huge cornet, if you will. And then he created a tribute to Courage, which is this 60 some foot statue. There's also a Stephen F. Austin uh, and another couple of items. So here's a picture standing next to the Moon Man. That's a Dickies. He's still alive, creating artwork at age 97. God bless you, live long. So there's your Moon Man. People that have been looking for Moon Man. In 1949, Dickies traveled to France to study under Fernand Léger. Okay, earlier we had this Eiffel Tower mentioned. We have the French connection. We have the French Quarter. And now we found an artist that made concrete coronets who studied in France. He also studied at Kansas City as well. But anyway, he was commissioned to paint a large historical mural in the city at the Houston Club. Okay, we had a club seeker earlier, right? He was hired by the art department at the University of Texas. Now, while they call much of his work modernism, he's actually probably more realistically a Cubist style painting. And I've given you a sample of some of his paintings here that are, in the Cubist type of design. And I mention this because Pablo Picasso was a Cubist. And I also mentioned this because there's another artist who's mentioned in the book by the name of Art Smith. And in the story of Art Smith is basically a guy that created some of the pieces, and he hails from Cuba. Cuba artist, frogs, froggies, all that kind of thing. So if you go, like I did, to the statue, where I'm going to need the assistance. Okay, work with me now as we encompass the entire book, and we put together all of the different things that we've learned, such as the furnace that was required in order to fire the glass, the chisard, which has a hot flaming breath, which is the heat required to create a brick, the long and tenuous process of making the beads for a necklace, where we have the exacting science of how you pack sand into a container, and then you add the color, and then you fire it in order to have it come out as a nice glassy bead. And so then you also have the Pablo Picasso Cubist connection and the style of artwork. And if you actually look at that chapter, it says a painting in the style of a Cubist artist. It doesn't actually say that that's a Picasso. Now, I did look long and hard to see if I could find that particular painting and it being a Dickies painting. And I never found it anywhere as being attributed to him. So maybe John Collins Black can tell us who painted that image where he showed in the Picasso chapter that information. So when I ended up my day, I found this brick that has a frog in it. So he said he left the frog. The froggy stayed. And so here's the frog in situ. And then here is the bottom of the frog, which is the Reynosa prison. And if you look, the mark of art, one of the items that Art Smith made is in the shape of this horseshoe. And I believe if you look at this corner of this, it mimics the artwork of Art Smith. And so this is what I found on my trip to Huntsville, Texas, where I investigated all of these clues. These are just a few of the clues. But it's obvious in the telling of this story that there Oh, by the way, somebody couldn't quite figure out the hand clapping thing, and so I do have props. So I'm gonna stop and we'll go back to the stream. So we'll go back to the stream, and for the people that couldn't figure out why the clapping. Okay, well, clapping, and it's hard to clap if you have handcuffs on. So there's the joke about the clapping. Why they were clapping with little tiny movements, clapping with tiny movements. There's the prop for that. Why were the old people shuffling along? Well, you got some leg irons probably. Why was in the story of the Pokemon there a badger? Oh no, it wasn't a badger. It was a raccoon. Because a raccoon looks like this. A raccoon looks like this. It's got stripes on him. All right. So now that I've officially made my trip to New Orleans, I'm going to finish my prison ration. Again, I got my prison rations here. Just a bottle of water, the toast. They had sausage. All I got's toast. So there you go. Gonna eat that in my Huntsville. Okay, well, if you don't get the joke, then you don't realize that the Goree Pokemon Go, the Goree prison is right across the street from the statue. So there you go. That's pretty much it. So I'm pretty. I'm pretty sure that the Reynosa Brick 310. I'm inmate number 310, 86679. I'm an inmate. Oh my God, my U fell off. What the hell? I lost my U. Well, anyway, I had another symbol. So anyway, like I said, it's the Reynosa brick from Mexico, with the Art Smith design in the corner. That maker's mark's not actually on any of the bricks that is made from this foundry, so they added that horseshoe at the end of that. And this is the frog. This is the froggy, because that's the indentation of this brick. And you notice I can fill it to the rim. I can fill this to the rim. See, it has a rim. But the overexposed photograph is if you actually take a brick and you take a photograph of it, if you actually take the photograph of a brick and enhance the reality of it, it can look like a stream or water or whatever. You just have to have the pattern. So now let's go back. This side of the brick is called the what? This side of the brick is called what? This is called what? So anyway, there is no reason that a Reynosa brick from Mexico would be sitting underneath the arm extended next to the staff of the statue that has the front looking exactly like a carp, and it's the top of the box, in which you have the Samsonite Lego connection, in which you have a box that has legs on it, and unfortunately, I didn't find a set of instructions that said, oh, call this number and report your findings. I also didn't find an actual treasure box at the location. And when he says to bring a backpack, it's because, well, it's pretty open. If you come in from one side, you have to actually walk through this courtyard. And so if you want to go to the Sam Houston statue, there's this pile of little tiny rocks and pebbles that I almost looked through them to see if there was a tiny rock because there's like literally 1,000 of these little round stones. But I realized that the frog he was talking about was the frog of a brick. And I realized that he needed the chizard in order to get it hot enough to fire the brick. And I remembered in the other chapter where he told us how these beads were made. And then then how if you use a furnace like in the making of the glass, that it required, this process of baking a brick. And so after I put all that together and I saw this, I figured, and then when I found out that Samsonite made the Lego bricks, and I looked at the top of the box and I decided that design had to do with blocks, uh, Lego blocks, and that they had a distinctive pattern, I knew I was looking for a block of some type. So I almost left without my brick, but I did go ahead and bring my brick with me. And so pretty sure that's the proxy item. This other brick was there. Um, uh, and I don't know what this one is, but it's a moon rock. I think this might be a buffalo brick. It does have a marking right there. It has a marking of like CK or something. But anyway, pretty sure I cracked that nut, and I put up my crime scene tape on the wall with my bricks just so I'd have the brick theme going. I showed you my Samsonite luggage. I gave you that. I showed you why the clapping hands and people were walking. But I mean, it's all about the Huntsville prisons, and it's all about Sam Houston, and it's all about David the Dickies. So, what's going on in the chat tonight? Tigger says, thanks for the info on making the songs. We make the songs that make the whole world sing. Well, no, I'm serious that he's talking about the artist David Dickies. You go to Houston to pick up a cornet, and John Coltrane then brings that to Texas. Oh, I guess I forgot to mention this part. The cornet that the big concrete thing was modeled after. Guess whose cornet that was? No, it wasn't Banksy. So let's do a little bit more research here, because I didn't include this. Because you think I was just making this jump, and I didn't use the John Coltrane, did I? Well, I got to show you how John Coltrane actually works in this. So here, let me show you. I got to show you this. All right, let me get over here. Let me go to Coltrane. Let me show you, because I forgot to include this. Okay, go to this. All right, so coronet is this outdoor concrete steel sculpture of a coronet by David Dickies, located in the Strand Historic District in Galveston, modeled after a coronet purchased at an antique shop in New Orleans. Okay, you go to New Orleans and you pick up a coronet, right? That's how you pick. So when he made his trip, this is how he got his coronet. And so let's do this. So he goes to New Orleans to pick up a cornet, right? So he picks up his cornet and he brings it back to Texas. Um, so there you go. Here's the the Dickies article or Addicts article. Um, okay, I had the John Coltrane reference figured out the other day. Sorry, people are gonna yell at their screen because I don't have the let's see. Okay, so he was John William Coltrane. Is a saxophonist, bebop, the jazz man. So some people like that. Some people like that Coltrane reference as being a round, circular thing. Well, if you look at the base of the monument there, it's when it says circle back. The whole entire it's a circular. It sits on a big circle. So I'm just saying that that's pretty easy to look at. So he was at a sugar refinery. He professional work as a musician as a cocktail lounge trio with piano and guitar. Hmm. He was at the Samson Naval Training Station. Music theory. Um, Miles and Monk. Impulse Records. The classic quartet period. Started with the alto sax, flute, and bass clarinet. All right, well, let's go back to Dickies and let's look at his um, heads. So, where's Virtuoso at? Oh, there's no picture. I figured there'd be a picture of this. I can't believe they don't have a picture of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I looked that up and looked at the Virtuoso. Uh, so it's at Prairie and Smith Streets. It's a gigantic cello being played by a virtuoso. So that's virtuoso. Um, what was the other one he did? Well, he did another one. I think he's responsible for one of these here too. Um, but anyway, we don't have the one of Stephen Austin. All right. Okay, let's go back over to the stream and end the share. All right, so what's going on here? Oh, my screen was. It sometimes does that when I'm streaming and I'd go try to look something up. Uh, anyway, so now I'm doing the night cafe. Well, again, they only give me so much time. Uh, Inmate number 310-866-79 at the Reynosa prison only gets so much. Uh, I tried to do some screen sharing, but it didn't quite. Did my other screen sharing work with my Word document? Did that all work? Uh, did that all work or no? So the top five: Sophia Champion, the Asterisk, Jeff, Kiwi. Um, Asterisk wants to know where's the box. Did you poke a stick at it and walk away? I might have. If you like this location, there was a jar in the bushes, but I was pretty much convinced that this was going to be a brick, uh, because of the frog. There's not a frog in a jar, unless there's a part of a mason jar that's called a frog, and that's why you have the froky. Um, so Jeff thinks I'm suffering from Kansas cabin fever. Well, I honestly drove all the way to Houston on Tuesday. It was a 9-hour drive. I got to my search location. I left at 4 a.m. I drove the first 3.5 hours in total darkness. I was well past. I was almost Oklahoma City by the time the sun came up, and so then I continued on. I headed to my site to search. I spent 10 minutes walking around looking for anything that triggered my trigger. I did not see an actual box that looked like what was being given away with legs or anything like that. And so I did see this brick laying on the ground, and the brick was about the same color as the box, if you will, that kind of yellowish color. And I'm going, well, here's something that looks the same color as the box. There is a masonry. There's a nice little masonry plaque. You can go look at all this online. But anyway, there's a nice little plaque there. Explains the masons and all this stuff. And so I found these three things next to each other. There was a rock that was similar to the rock that's in the hallway of the front of the book illustration. And there was a rock that was white and black, if you will. And then there was this brick. And they were all kind of next to this yucca plant. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, which one of these three items should I look at closely? And I'm going, well, probably the brick, because the indentation in the soil was such that the brick had been laying there approximately maybe 2 to 3 months. I turned over the other two items, and the ground impression was greater than what would have been had they only been there for a couple of months. Or they got dropped harder, or they were just heavier. I don't know. They all three could have been placed there at the same time, thereby somebody taking the black and white rock, thinking that was what they needed, and it not be, and you not totally have solved the puzzle. Because you had to solve the prison, because Portland, Maine is the Shawshank Redemption, um, if you will. All of these things about bars, all these people walking slowly, all this stuff, sausage and toast, it's all inmate driven. I mean, it's the Lego blocks. It all makes sense if you start thinking about it. And so then when I googled what a frog was in masonry, I then realized that the froky that got left there was the brick. And remember, he says that he had this backpack and he had this round open place where the froky went all the time. Well, he was describing that. He was describing that opening in the brick. And then when I found out that Reynosa was like a prison brick making place, then I realized, yeah, what was that? What would that brick be doing there? And so that's kind of why I went with it. Merla wants to know if there's some stamped steel discs or reflectors. I didn't see anything like that. Uh, Merla has a bunch of grasshoppers. Well, the reason he mentions these grasshoppers and these bugs and the crawfish, one thing people don't realize is that there is a fish that actually has legs, and it's the crayfish. And so you can't get distracted by the fish reference there. All of these things that he mentions have legs, the bugs, etc. The box itself has legs. And so it's all about the legs have meaning. And so the statue itself has the legs, if you will, as a prominent feature. And so that gets you to that. MJ's laughing out loud at me. Yeah, Jeff. So here's the deal. The shirt, I had two choices for the shirt tonight. I could either get the extra large, which would have been extremely tight, or the 3X large, which I can actually fit into and not be really tight. So when I went to the store and bought the orange shirt, I had to buy the 3X as opposed to the 1X because they had no 2X shirts. So that's the story on the shirt. Did I spell that right? RIGHT. Autocorrect. 24 hours from Tulsa. I haven't read the Pokemon chapter, says Tigger. Well, there's no need to now. It's been solved. The fires broke out between Tennessee and North Carolina. Yeah. So the Appalachian Trail box might be toasted. Well, I've got a new take on the Appalachian Trail box. I actually think that it might not, based upon the way in which these puzzles are designed, and now that I've figured out how they're designed, I think I'm going to break out this prison and get some solves going. But by the way, I had a lot of time in prison, so I started to put these together, these snowflakes, like bricks go together. I was going to build something, Oh, the frog with the glowing eye, the frog with the green eyes. So if you go to this location, there's a head, just a head of Sam Houston, and the eyes are red. When you actually get there and take a picture of it, the eyes are red. And so the frog, there is a concrete frog on the ground sitting there. I was going to have a brick oven pizza tonight as an added gag, but I didn't have time. But I mean, it's just look at the box. You've got the inmate weave pattern, and then you've got look at the pattern on that box. You've got the carp pattern. You've got the inmate weave pattern. You've got him talking about panels over here. You've got the mason jar lid on the one side, and it's got legs. It's got legs. And then you've got the story about the silversmithing. You got the story about mason jars. And so, I just don't think that there's not much else here. And he calls this other puzzle box that you have to move the panels, and that's also the brickmaking term. So Tigger says that box looks like a trellis to you. Well, I mean, I'm sure they're all patterns of something. But anyway, to each his own. Um, Pretty sure we've got it narrowed down to the location. Uh, I don't know what those little flowers are on that, but uh, get out your prison wallet. Time to pay up. Uh, John, it's time to pay up. Get your prison wallet out. I just noticed that so if I would throw something at that painting, that poster back there, like a stone, it would probably go through, and there'd be a hole in that wall, and I could then climb through a river of shit and be on my way. But you know, I can try putting up the close up here. Of this. Hold on a second. We can go over here. All right, here we'll share this screen so we can do this. So, I mean, as you can see, this design in this area right here, this design is not original to this brick. This little design right here, after it says Mexico and it says Penosa, Peynosa, there's this added little design characteristic that's right here. And so you've got that design characteristic. And then you've got the artist, the cubist that came from Cuba. Um, the masterworks by Art Smith. And then you've got, like I said, the cubist artist. Uh, and this author here was, basically the guy that was from Cuba. Okay, so you can see that design right here. Yeah, Cuba cubist. All right, let me. So as you can see, the Penosa shape, and that would be a bracelet. That would be a bracelet. Man, what have I got coming out of my book? Oh, that was my hotel receipt. All right, let me show you the other thing that caught my attention. Who painted that? Is that a Picasso? Who painted that? Who painted that? Who painted this? Because I asked this question. Because the caption is a Cubist style design of a house with a dove mural. It doesn't attribute this painting to Picasso at all. And remember, we talked about the French Connection, and in the story, Then, one summer day in Madura, France, Pablo met Jacqueline. And that sentence in the book is its own paragraph. Uh, so again, we got the French connection, and then we've got the artwork. Um, where does he talk about the firing of the beads? Let me read you this. So in the chapter "Sing Your Own Song," he says, uh, "To make a facience bead, you first need sand, a very common substance. Ordinary salt and water are added to make a sand malleable and give it a form. Once the sand is shaped, a color glaze is added. At first, the color is dull, then the molded and blandly glazed sand is placed into a fire where it cooks in an intense heat. Well, the Pokemon you're trying to win is fire, and heat is its weapons. And so, as the little bee bakes, something magical happens. The sand and salt and water become fixed. The color of the glaze saturates. When freed, as in freed from the fire, freed from the jail, the tiny beads glows bright and lustrous. Um, okay, the other firing chapter here. I now think that Athens, Georgia, is becoming a solved location. So we have Tiffany's Furnace, right? Another chapter about firing, not Donald Trump firing everybody, but another chapter about firing process. And here you have the story of the furnace. So where does it say that? Thoreau must have thought himself to be the day he started the largest forest fire ever recorded in Concord. Well, for whoever mentioned in the chat the fire that might have burnt the treasure in Tennessee and North Carolina, uh, there's that. A tube of tubus. So I actually think that the shipwreck story, since the Houston died in the steamboat house, this um, may have something to do with it. Um, but here they're talking about glass and the Lady of the Light in Spain and Pedro. But the one word in this whole chapter about the shipwreck is this one. So at the pier, Fonseca was glad to find his other four crewmen waiting for him at the dock. Let's go, Pokemon Go. I get it. He called to them as he approached. Uh, so, anyway, the references to that the Jackie Onassis chapter. Obviously, Jackie Kennedy was in Texas. Uh, the mm, this to me, this to me, this to me looks like the Penosa prison or the alleyway that um, El Chapo uh, had created. And so, to me, that looks like a prison dungeon. To me, uh, cell block C, if you will. And so I use that. And the other brick that was sitting on the ground at that location was that style and color of brick. Once again, color sample. But I don't know if that. Hey, I got some eyeballs from Newman Sagewalker. So I don't think that Katsina has to do with this one. I already went over the Art Smith. I think that's about it. I don't think I've got a whole lot else to cover. Again, that Art Smith piece is a bracelet. And that marking on my brick is that horseshoe. And if you go find a Penosa brick, the naturally produced ones at the. And by the way, I there for a moment thought that maybe I had to go to Mexico in order to get the prize. And then I found out that there was a level 4 travel advisory for Reynosa. So after I saw that there was a level 5 or level 4 travel warning for Reynosa, I decided I didn't want to go. The Bastille. I'm not sure where that would go. That brick could be identified by the pattern in the brick. Well, the name is actually in the frog. The reason I'm wearing this shirt that says Reynosa is because the first word is Reynosa, and then the next one is Mexico, and then over here you finally have the Art Smith mark in the brick. How does a brick from Reynosa, Mexico, ended up next to the Sam Houston statue in Huntsville, Texas? Unless somebody put it there for a reason. Oh my God, I just lost one of the numbers. I put my eye back on. Kiwi says it's one hell of a brick. Well, Kiwi, don't you live in Texas? You might want to go check because I did leave a bottle there, but I decided it wasn't the bottle because it was in the bushes. So there's a visitors travel center like on the other side of the big tree row, and the parking lot's over there. Now you could actually park on Interstate 45 if you'd like, and just pull off to the side and then run across the grass and grab and look around. But if you actually park in the parking lot, and this is why I think he suggests that the Frokie takes a backpack so that you could put this in a backpack and then walk out of the place. um, and not be conspicuous because I was pretty conspicuous when I was carrying my brick out. I mean, I've been known to go. I mean, I will walk a brick off of a property without much shame. Um, I've done worse. Nomadic Madman says that I now actually have the brick that came from the movie prop of the National Treasure movie. Again, it's the keystone. It's the keystone. You guys are just laughing at my solve here. I see it right now. But anyway, haven't you seen the signs? Yeah, there's some signs. That brick could be cursed. But the Lego connection, the Samsonite connection. Samsonite made Lego bricks. Sam Houston. Ben Franklin lived in the Keystone. Signs everywhere. There's signs. There was only one. There was a sign there. The sign says, "Do not peel the names letters off of the statue, the monument." Ghost Dancer Radio says something in the fin box might be cursed. Probably is. Well, I've got one more beer. Well, I don't have a really good solve for the forest fin treasure, and they're supposed to be getting, I think, weather. So I'm pretty much done treasure hunting until I can make one last trip to look for the forest fin one. I don't have a clue where the lion's share box is. But I think the lion's share box might be in here because there's treasure inside. So it might just be in here somewhere because there's treasure inside. But remember, if the Renosa. Oh, by the way, the other connection to the Shawshank Redemption is. Oh wow, I lost a lot of letters that time. But anyway, the other connection to the Shawshank Redemption is the. There's the inn. Is Fort Hancock, Texas, is where Red decided to get moving. All right, I got my short back. You want to buy? Oh, Kiwi wants to buy a vowel. Which vowel would you like to buy? By the way, the inmate number. The inmate number, by the way, is most of the phone number to call John Collins Black. And if nobody has figured out that this number 310-866 is the area code in the exchange of Topanga. In case you haven't figured that out yet, the number on the my inmate number is most of I think a phone number for John Collins Black. I really kind of have my Garth Brooks look going right now. I just kind of looked in the stream, and I do kind of have the right beard for me to pull off my Garth Brooks look. Anyway, orange shirt is a forest theme, a forest fire. Orange is the new black. Yeah, I look like a good old boy. Yeah, you want me to play some Waylon Jennings? The Dukes of Hazzard. Oh. So once again, my good luck charm paid off because I put down Pokemon box in Houston. And indeed, I was in Huntsville. But it was Sam Houston that led me there. I mean, so waiting for John to contact me and deliver the prize. Got my digits. This is the Festivus for the rest of us. So I'm pretty much done with my John Collins Black Saul for tonight. If you want to stick around and speculate for a few minutes about Treasure Con or Forrest Finn, feel free. I think tonight is the first night of the con. The poker game might be tonight. I think they said they were going to go live, right? If they had anything happen. This is Treasure Con weekend, right? I'm pretty sure it is. So this is like the Festivus for the rest of us. Who didn't want to put out, the big bucks for all the beer and alcohol you could drink in a short period of time. A forest fire burnt down Yellowstone. Oh yeah, there's the old story about. So did you know that when that fire occurred or was it the earthquake? Well, anyway, when either the fire or the earthquake occurred in Yellowstone National Park, Marvin Finn was actually there. And when he came back, he had a slideshow presentation of all of these pictures. It must have been the earthquake. Anyway, he had a slide presentation, and you can find in the newspaper archives all the different places that they wrote a story about Marvin Finn doing a presentation on the earthquake in Yellowstone. And it was like a blurb, like this much in the paper. Like Thursday night at the YMCA, Marvin Finn will be presenting a slide presentation about the earthquake that occurred in Yellowstone National Park. And then you might see the next one for like Gainesville or, Temple or Gatesville or whatever. And they'd have this Sunday night or this Sunday afternoon, we will have a matinee presentation of by Marvin Finn. And Marvin Finn and his wife were members of the, if I read this article right, they were members of the Airstream Owners Group of Texas. And they had all these different owners groups that got together and had fish fries. And, they probably had these Airbus runs where they would go, to a specific city and somebody would host either a fish fry or something. And they do those types of things. And they were in that organization. I showed Forrest the actual minutes from the meeting where they mentioned Marvin Finn, and he just kind of looked at me dumbfounded. But, like, why are you showing me this? And so that was kind of fun. What else was going on? Hey, there's the Moisturize. Jeff, Tig, and everyone. Peace. Kiwi, did you put your arm in it at Finn Rock? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be going to the Finn Rock. I got my own rock. Well, it's actually a brick. See, look, that's if you overexpose that enough, you get that river scene. Just got to overexpose it. He took a picture of a brick. Like I said, the inmate food's not very good. I'm going to have another. As long as they don't put me in the hole, I'm fine. Was working on Old Spanish Trail near Broadway. Yeah, that's a good spot. And my eyes could see. So I don't know what they're going to find out at Treasure Con this weekend. By the way, does anybody know, did they actually get John Collins Black to donate books or come to the Treasure Con? The other question I have is, does everybody have their book that wanted a book for the John Collins Black Treasure Hunt now? Pepper Sauce Cave. Do you think Treasure Con would be so boring? I was at a conference that lasted from 8:30 till 2:30 this afternoon, and my eyes almost glazed over halfway through the presentations. So on my trip, I stopped at Dealey Plaza because I had not ever been to Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. So when I go on these little treasure hunting experiences, there's usually something else that I'm going to work in if I can. And so this trip was I'm going through Dallas, heading to Huntsville. So I also went. So some people in the secret community of Treasure Hunt by Byron Priest think that the one of them is in uh, something park in Houston. Um, so anyway, I went to that park. I didn't get out and walk around or anything, but I don't know. That's not in the best part of town right now. It honestly took me 20 minutes because of traffic to get back onto the freeway because of where that Herman Park. So I went to Herman Park, and I don't know. I just don't think that there's enough there to convince me that the secret is in Houston and Herman Park. But I stopped at Dealey Plaza and I assessed the situation, and I came to the conclusion that no matter what records get, put out by Trump on JFK's assassination, I believe that that shot could have been made, honestly. Because I looked at the scene and I looked at the window of the repository, I looked at the distance, and I looked at the grassy knoll and I looked at where that was at. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I pretty much think Oswald made that shot and that he was able to do it. And all these other things are just conspiracies. Because I think I could make that shot. Anyway, uh, Tigger says there is no secret box in Texas. I agree. I don't think Herman Park's it, but I went there and looked. I actually went to Herman Park and checked it out, and I think that one's. I honestly think that the one they think's in Houston's in this little park in Topeka, Kansas, called Cushenberry Park, and I think that it was by this buffalo statue, and I think that the park just recently, in the last 5 years, has replaced the concrete leading up to this buffalo statue, and that is probably either got broken when they replaced the concrete, or it is under that slab of concrete now, and thus probably never be found. But there's this buffalo called Old Buff. So Old Buff got moved from the uh, trade school. So Topeka, Kansas, at one time was the site of the Brown versus the Board of Education. And if you look through the secret book, there's a whole bunch of indicators of the Brown versus Board of Education because they have the judge as one of the characters in the back of the book. They also have the twisted gavel. And so the Cushenberry Park is right adjacent to the school, which is the Monroe School, which was the site of the original Brown versus Board of Education incident. And so Old Buff used to be at the trade school. There was a trade school back in the day, in the early 1900s, where if you were an African American, you would go into one of these trades like sewing, right? And they would teach you how to sew, to be a seamstress. They would teach you how to do animal husbandry. Uh, you wouldn't actually practice on the animals, but um, anyway, they would teach you like all these different skill sets. And then after a period of time, they decided this wasn't such a good idea to push black people into these trades. And so that then got converted over to a prison. And it's now a women's detention center. Um, well, not the actual building, but the site. The buildings all got knocked down, and Old Buff got moved to Cushenberry Park. Now, Grant Cushenberry was a pioneering African American. He had these famous little gardens. He was the guy that originally started the soup kitchen garden. In other words, they would plant community gardens, and if they had extra food, they distribute it. He was a leader in the community, and I think he owned the trash service, and in other words, he owned the garbage business. Jeff says that Luke Skywalker could make that shot. Um, I just watched a YouTube video about the TSCD, and the guy said it could not be made. Uh, well, it's strange times we live in. Helicopters flying into planes. That's a big deal here in Kansas today. The Wichita airport. So when I was coming back from Texas, I calculated this out. I was driving through Wichita, Kansas at about the time that plane left Wichita headed for Washington, D.C. Not that I had anything to do with the plane incident. I'm just saying that it occurred to me that I was actually driving through Wichita at that departure time when that plane left. And that was kind of odd. So I went to this conference today, and it's rare that you get to see a state senator, right? In your daily existence, do you just naturally encounter state senators? So Senator Moran dropped his plane into the airport here because he was probably on his way to Wichita to make some statement about the uh, incident at the Wichita airport so he can get some BS. So anyway, pulled into our podunk town and came up and spoke for 15 minutes about what he was going to do in Congress for Kansas as a senator. And then we had two of our representatives from Kansas. We have 5 total. So on this plane today that landed at the airport, we had almost a third of our entire congressional representation. It would have been quite a third. It would have been a sixth. No, it would have been 3/7. So we had 3/7 of our total entire representation in the United States government together at one place at one time today. Can you believe that? And I was there. I got out of the damn. They took me over to they got me out of the Reynosa prison to go over there. No, Kiwi, it was not the function at the junction. It was not the function in the junction. It was at the Paris Hilton Hotel. The curse of the Finn treasure. There could be a curse associated with that. Kiwi said it all has to do with a red Prius. All treasure hunts in the future must be environmentally friendly. In other words, David Gump. Not sure who that is. But anyway, so it was, and this was an unannounced, um, they had on the agenda legislative update. And usually that just means that you get like a congressman, from the House of Representatives, or maybe the state highest official in the state below the governor to come and give you words of wisdom, right? But no, it was actually Senator Jerry Moran uh, in the flesh, pressing the flesh with his constituents. Uh, Ghost Dancer Radio is prepared and made plans. So again, the Keystone. I paid $20. I paid $25 for a 30 pack of Keystone Light just so I could do this gag on Keystone. And I'm kind of regretting it because I could have got like a 30 pack of Natty Ice for like $18. This cost me $7. This gag here, these handcuffs. Although, if I have a lady come over, that might have been the best $5 I ever spent right there. But anyway, I had the Samsonite luggage, so that prop didn't cost me anything. So Ghost Dancer's not looking in Colorado for the Forrest Fenn treasure for the JCB hunt. I think Ghost Dancer Radio put together this presentation of going all around the world to all the different locations that the John Collins Black Treasure referenced, and it was pretty good video, but I don't know how that pinpoints a location. It's not like get on I-35 and drive south to Dallas. I mean, for me, honestly, I was just like, I got on the interstate. I never had to get off until I got to Dallas. But I stopped at Buc-ee's. Newman Sagewalker says that John Collins Black has definitely gotten my attention. I think he's done a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing. Oh, hold on. Now I'm starting to quote from Shawshank Redemption. Oh, I forgot to mention this. So, my whole theme of this treasure hunt was the prison thing in Huntsville, because the Gory facility, the Pokemon Go facility is right there. And guess what movie was on? AMC. I'm clicking through the channels in the hotel. And I see Andy Dufresne in red. And I'm going, oh, Lord, I'm in Huntsville, Texas. And I'm now going to watch on AMC a prison movie, Shawshank Redemption. And in the book, they talk about Portland, Maine. And many people think that Portland, Maine might be the thematic location of the fictitious Shawshank prison. So, Ghost Dancer Radio is proposing that Route 66 might have something to do with the JCB solve. Well, I think I'm in on my past and present solve. I'm more up in the Silicon Valley area around Sacramento, maybe Placerville, those kinds of areas. Just keep it in your sleeve and tie a shoe very frequently. Well, I like shoe references. I mean, Michael Jordan's in the JCB book. Michael Jordan has his own shoe, right? The Air Jordan series. And so the shoer might be important. Newman Sagewalker, that's a nice name, Newman Sagewalker, because I was in Walker County. Huntsville is in Walker County. Thank you very much. Anyway, If you're looking for a Pokemon, aren't you in Huntsville? It just makes too much sense. Yes, Tigger, the Texas state prison system has 3 facilities in Huntsville. The Texas Prison Museum is in Huntsville. Yes, yes. And the Pokemon, a Pokey is a colloquial term for a prison. Uh, yeah, that's a mon and the poke. That's right. That's why it's Huntsville. But he says he took Samsonite luggage. He picked up a horn uh, in uh, uh, New Orleans, and then he brought it to Texas to Sam Houston. He took it to where Sam Houston died. Sam Houston died in Huntsville. He died in the Steamboat House. Yes, there's a lot of Texas state prison. So half the vehicles I saw in Huntsville had DOC Texas on them. I didn't ran out of letters, or I would have put DOC on here. I'd put DOC. Uh, the Department of Corrections. I'm pretty styling tonight because my shirt actually almost matches the the do not cross tape. The moisturizer is saying that poke my mon is Jamaican term for sexy time. Newman Sagewalker is admitting to a fault and thinking that the original ideas about JCB were wrong. I don't know. This whole Shawshank Redemption Pokemon thing is a little bit trolling to me, honestly, uh, because of my relationship with the Chase and Force Ben. Uh, but I didn't need all of these little puns, if you will. I mean, the Nosa thing, the Nosa, yeah, that's just right there. Blue nose, uh, but I guess is what we have. The Newman has been hitchhiking on your people's conversations. Does everybody remember the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Hey, there's Lily Bell. What's going on? Greetings to you as well. Does anybody remember that book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Lily's getting some big snow. Oh, I just went to a presentation today that predicted the weather forecast for well, I'm a farmer, so it was for my region. But for your region, you are going to get a lot of snow because the polar vortex is such that it's going to drag all of this moisture across the northern Rocky Mountains, and it's going to cut off the moisture from the plains. And you're going to get a lot of snow. New Mexico, the southern Rockies, all of the snowpack that usually might fall in that area is going to be right on top of Luli Bell. And that's what the state meteorologist told us today in our meeting, is that we should expect a dry period for maybe a month because the polar vortex is not going to be able to push any further than dropping all of this snow. And yeah, Lily says that they're going to get feet, not inches of snow. Uh, Lily Bell remembers the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This follow the leader music career bring me great joy. Yeah, Ghost Dancer Radio was one of the first people to start pumping out some original tunes on his channel. Uh, I jumped in on that when JCB showed up uh, and started enhancing my joy. And then I used up all my credits on the free app. And so now I'm musicless. I've lost my tune. I'm like a piano. I've lost my tune. I feel like that little Asian guy in the movie who Morgan Freeman, who's blind, trains how to tune the piano. I don't know how I went there, but I got there. I don't give a crap about the treasure. I just want to work with them people. You want to work with a few music producers? I think John Collins Black has gotten himself out of the music production business. Uh, Tigger's found Suno AI. It's awesome. I think that's might be the one I was using to create my songs, but I didn't want to pay the subscription, and I was getting like 2 songs a day, and so it does a great job though. Oh, Tigger is a music producer. Well, hi John. I didn't know you were hiding under the ID Tigger. How'd you like my show? Yes, I figure receiving a treasure box will help me get my foot in the door. Yeah. Meanwhile, at TreasureCon, let's do a live look-in. I don't know if I can do a live look-in on the Discord or not. Oh, Tigger, I didn't realize that if you got others to join, you got more credits. Well, that's kind of like hosting an event at a casino in Vegas, where you book the whole room and you get comped at the hotel, and then you get kickback for booking a room, and then you get paid by all the people to come attend, and it ends up being like a moneymaker. But we're doing this for the community. It's all good. When I was in high school, I got all my friends to go on a cruise because it was free for me. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, uh, Jeff thinks that Luli is a snow bunny. Snow bunny knows the trouble I've seen. Snow bunny knows. Well, I mean, if you charge an admission, if it costs you, let's just say it costs you $1,000 to get a hotel room, and it costs you, let's say, $10 a person for unlimited beverage service from a hotel. I don't know what the cost is per person, but anyway, if you get this package and you're able to charge for it, and you get more money in than you're spending, and in Vegas, there's all kinds of comps for bringing business to the hotels. You just have to be on the list. I mean, I can Google this. What kind of comp deals can you get? Deals are in Vegas for conferences. So let's just look at the ultimate Vegas experience at the Wynn Hotel Las Vegas. Um, They have catering, production services, group branding opportunities. Uh, I don't know what it says here, but it wants me to connect in there. Okay, advice for generating future comps offers on a First Vegas. So in the 2000s, I used to make multiple trips to Vegas and would gamble 3 to 5K per trip. Stayed monthly at MGM. I never got any comps. I started going to Harrah's, and I have almost no tier credits. What Vegas properties would best reward my given play? Play slots. Okay, that kind of budget would get you 3 to 4 nights, and any MGM, and it would get you $150 in food and beverage and $150 of free play. Uh, so here's some people that are giving you what you can get. Uh, if you're playing low house edge games, you're not going to get very much credit. And it looks like it's whatever you can get that they'll give you. I don't know. I don't play that game. I don't go to Vegas. I don't gamble. So Louis Bell is driving at a light. 67 degrees in western Colorado on Wednesday. Yeah, it was great weather in Texas. I left and it was 60 degrees, and I got back, it was 35. No, it was actually 40. Newman's taking care of the uncle. He has a small, oh, that's not good. Uh, well, I hope that situation improves. Well, does anybody else have anything they want to talk about tonight? I've almost got the 2 hour show. Uh, I'm almost out of the Keystone beer, the one last one. So I may have to just call it good. I thought I had a Samsonite luggage case. It took me a while to find it. Oh Lord, Blue Bell just drove 10 miles in near whiteout conditions. So it was foggy and rainy on the way back from Houston. I drove for literally 7.5 hours in a steady drizzle. Uh, it was just like, I can't believe I'm driving 7.5 hours in drizzle. It was just like this constant little rain. I thank God my windshield wipers held out because I'm pretty sure I had my windshield wipers on for 4 hours straight. I'm not as young as I used to be, taking off and driving 9 hours at a time. So one time I drove all the way from Kansas to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I did it in like 12 and a half hours. So I'm the guy that would come home and farm on the weekends, and I worked in St. Louis for 2 years, and it was 6 hour drive from the farm to St. Louis. And I bet you I made that trip probably 10 times in a year. My dad was still alive, so he was still doing a lot of the farming, but during the busy season, he always needed my brother and I's help. So, we'd come home and take some vacation days and, on the weekend. But I had this routine down that I could drive. I had a Ford Escort GT, believe it or not. And I could drive my Ford Escort GT, and if I filled up with gas in like Columbia, Missouri, I could make it all the way to Kansas. Uh, and if I, on the other way, if I filled up, I could make it to Columbia, Missouri, and get to St. Louis with plenty of gas. And so I had this routine down where I just take off and I could make the trip in like 6.5 hours. And a Ford Escort GT. Except for this one winter where I stopped in Ottawa to visit my brother because he was living in Ottawa. And I left and it was snowing. And I got to like Kingdom City. And I saw these cars in the ditches in front of me. And we're all just going like 45 miles an hour because it's snowing, it's sleet, it's ice. And I got to going a little bit sideways. This is the only time I did a full 360 on the interstate. And suddenly I'm looking at the oncoming traffic. And then I continued to go on around. And just as I thought I had it corrected and was going straight, I continued my revolution and I did a full 360 plus another 10 degrees. And so I ended up going into the median at slow speed. I then tried to power out of the median by decreasing my acceleration, but there's too much ice sleep in the median to allow me to get out of there. And so I was stuck like a dead in the middle of the median. So I got stupid, and somebody saw my 360 behind me, and I was kind of there, and they said, "Hey, do you need a ride? We can take you to Kingdom City." And it was like 5 miles down the road. And this was before cell phones. And I go, "Well, I guess I had some cash on me and a checkbook, and um, I think I had a credit card." And so I go up to Kingdom City, and they tell me at the truck stop that that there's a wrecker coming out to the area because I wasn't the only one in the ditch. And so I go, "Well, shit. I'll get a ride back to my car." So I got a ride from somebody going the other direction. I had them drive me back from Kingdom City to my car. And I got over to my car just as the wrecker was unhooking somebody else. And I said, "What's it going to cost me to have you pull me out of here?" And he said, "Like $50. And I said, "Do you take a check?" He goes, "Yeah, is it good?" I go, "Yeah, it's good." Because I don't like. So anyway, I wrote him a check for $50, and he pulled me out, and I had very little damage to the car, so I made it on into St. Louis. But the moral of the story is, if you ever don't abandon your car, because if I would have just waited there, the tow truck would have came out. He would have been there to pull out these other cars, and you could have just flagged it down. Because there's literally a car like 100 yards from my car in the ditch. Because the road just flashed iced over. And it's at the bottom of this hill, right? What do you do? Tap your brake, try to slow down. I'm sure I was like 2 years out of college, and I probably didn't have the best shoes on my car. I mean, tires would probably wore out. Well, I guess I'm going to call it good. Hope everybody had a good time tonight. I'm pretty sure I got the Reynosa brick. I think the Pokemon's done. He's captured. He's captured. He's going to be rehabilitated, built up, made better, and then he's going to battle with his stick, his ninja stick, his Weatherford shape, and his frog, his Froakie brick, because he's a frog. Tigger, where's all this music, Tigger? Where's your Song Harvest Moon at? Did you know Tatum O'Neal was in a show called The Paper Moon? You know where Paper Moon was filmed? on a stretch of highway out by Hays, Kansas, over by Victoria. Jeff had a similar experience back in the day. He walked to a nearby farmhouse and to use the phone. And when he got to the farmer's house, he met the farmer's daughter. And the farm that's the beginning of a really good farmer's daughter joke. Well, Tigger, where can I? Is your music on Spotify? Uh, will you have more downloads than Taylor Swift by the end of the week? Tigger uploaded it through a distributor today. So if I just Google Harvest Moon, I can find your song. Oh, Jeff ended up getting the old lady too. 5-Leaf Blaze. How's it going, the 5-Leaf? Good prizes with JCB that anybody has won? I don't know. I just presented my solve for the Pokemon box. I'm still doing it. There's the number. 310-866-79. Are you there? Am I in the Reynosa prison in Mexico? No. There's a travel advisory, level 4. It is pretty amazing how well the AI music is. So Newman's been working on vintage guitars. Yeah, when that game Guitar Hero came out, I never bought it, never got into it, but some people did. Well, I am going to wrap this up. It's almost 9:27. We've had a rambunctious discussion. We've had a really good solve idea that I put out. I had props tonight, so I think there was that. So I think it was a pretty decent show. John, hit me up. You know what I got? Send Posey out. You don't even have to send Posey out, because Posey nosy. Posey nosy. Posey nosy. He probably put this out there. I needed the Shazard to fire my brick. All those other ones, they weren't really needed. Jeff says, thanks for the night. Not sure what you're thanking me for. There's no entertainment value here. I could do my best imitation of Cuff 'em and Stuff 'em. Them Duke boys. Cuff 'em and Stuff 'em. Yeah, Louie, have a great weekend. It looks like you're going to be snowed under. All right, folks, you've been a great crowd. Thank you for your patience and indulgence. I don't know where the key is to these. But just remember, if you can't figure out why the clapping was it was a big clue. Good night. Oh, hold on. If I go 40 more seconds, I can get a 2-hour payday from Chase Inc. Do I have any new music?
sky with a map in hand and dreams to fly. Treasure chests of gold and a Pokemon call. Bible verses guiding us through it all. On the road to New Orleans, jazz-filled streets where the music and magic always meets. With Pikachu by my side, ready to fight, following the light in the darkest night. Treasure hunts and gospel hymns, Carolina's golden rims. Every battle, every quest, holy words keep us blessed. Wild adventures through swampy haze, echoing songs, feeling amazed. Charmander's flame lighting the path. X marks the spot with the legendary laugh. Mountains high in Carolina pride. Gold shines bright, can't hide playing the game. Heart and soul, Bible verses make us whole. Treasure hunts and gospel hymns, Carolina's golden rims. Every battle, every quest, holy words keep us blessed. Wild adventures through swampy haze, and Carolina's golden rims. Every battle, every quest, holy words keep us blessed. Holy words keep us blessed.
Good night, everybody.